Hello, everybody. It's May 1st. May is a challenging month. It's the end of the school year and everyone's kind of burnt out. And lots of sports happening in May. So I wanted to talk a little bit about sports and the pressures we're all feeling as parents on when to choose to take the step from rec sports to travel sports, or that idea of the one sport focus. This is a difficult thing for parents to decide, and it's difficult, to talk about just because there's so much involved in this decision. There isn't necessarily a right answer. And what's right for one of your kids may not be the same for another one of your kids. And so you're going to have to take it one step at a time, one kid at a time, and one sport at a time, to be honest. So let's talk a little bit about the pressures we're all facing that just we gave to ourselves as parents. There is an intense pressure right now to specialize children in a sport early. And I mean like age 7, age 8. The true recommendation is to try to wait till children are at puberty to specialize in one sport. In fact, the American Academy of Pediatrics would really like kids to be in high school. That would be ideal. I mean, it'd be great for many kids to be playing multitude of sports in high school. I did play travel soccer starting in 8th grade, and I still got to play a couple of high school sports on top of it because I was able to manage it. It's really hard to do that now. And I understand how hard that is, watching this happen, being a part of that as a parent. So I think the areas where I see this the most is baseball, soccer, competitive cheer, dance. Those are the ones that I'm seeing a lot of kids having, or parents choosing at a young age to put kids in, and committing to these travel teams at a young age. So first, when we're thinking about, do I put my kid on a travel team? And many travel teams, not all, many travel teams or competitive teams, your practices are not once or twice a week, which would be what a rec team would look like at age 7. 3 or more times a week, plus games, or plus comps, I think is what you girls dance teams call it. And that is a lot for a young kid. And so we need to think about what that does for a kid's body, who's young, what that does for their mental health, their fatigue, their sleep, and what we're doing nutritionally for the calories they're burning. There's a lot of things going on for that kid at that age. And are we, as parents, making that decision for our kid because we know that those are competitive sports you have to get into early, or you're not going to be able to make teams in high school or college? We ourselves did those sports and we really want to see our kids do them, or our kid just really loves them and fell in love with it and wants to do it. I think option 3 is the reason you do it, right? I mean, that's why you do it. You don't do it for yourself because I love soccer and therefore I want my kid to be on a travel soccer team. And certainly, number 1 is a confusing thing. Yes, baseball is super hard to get into if they're a little bit older. But if you're a really great athlete, you can transition to playing baseball if you've been playing other sports, because the better athlete you are, the better you're going to be at all sports. So it's tricky. Again, lots of pressure. But we need to maintain the idea that what is appropriate for a young kid versus what is appropriate for an older kid. Um, Once you have made the decision that your kid is to specialize in one sport, you need to keep an eye on their coach, how the coach is treating the child, how the other children are with the kids. Like if it's a team sport, make sure there's not a lot of bullying going on. What's the nutrition looking like for your kid? Are they taking in what they need? Their protein is high. They're getting plenty of fruits and vegetables. Hydration is important. What is their mental health like? There's a lot of fatigue. They're going to school, then they're going to practice, and then they're coming home sometimes, and it depends on your kid's school, what homework situation they have going on. And then they're going to bed and waking up and doing it all over again. Their weekends, which should be their rest time, is spent traveling or comps or whatever. And so they're not catching up a lot on rest. We need to make sure we shelter and give them 1 or 2 days off a week. And we can't forget about the academics of all of this. Like, we can't leave out studying and making sure they're on top of their schoolwork. It's a lot to juggle for a young person. It's a lot for me to juggle. I don't want to have to juggle it all, but we do. So we need to make sure that they are not overwhelmed with the pressure and that their coaches are not overwhelming them. I'm seeing a lot of coaches putting too much pressure on the fact that sports come first. And I would argue that that sports don't come first, because most of these kids aren't going to make a career out of sports. It's going to give them joy and make them so happy and give them a lot of positives in their life. But ultimately, it's part of their life. It's not the life, right? So we still need to juggle. It's a juggling, it's balance. It's not number one. It's we have to keep that in line with school, and social life and family life. I think a lot of us are losing our family lives to sports. And I feel this the most. Like, I'm at this kid's thing, my husband's at this kid's thing, and I just feel like passing ships. So there's a lot of things that I feel like frustrated about. So I want to make sure you're taking care of your kids who are in these very competitive sports in all aspects. If they are injured, and we're seeing a lot of overuse injuries, the more competitive they are, the more days a week they're putting in, the more hours they're putting in, the more likely an overuse injury happens. Overuse injuries are, they're not breaks, although a stress fracture, technically you could call it that, but they're hamstring pulls and tendonitis and fasciitis. It's your body basically telling you that it needs a break and you need to rest and some physical therapy. It is really hard for the kids when they have an overuse injury because they don't want to stop. They're competitive, and they might need 4 to 6 weeks of rest and physical therapy. So it's hard for me when I have to tell a kid that they have an overuse injury and that they're going to have to take a break from sports. And often they will do it anyway, and it makes it worse. And of course, then your body compensates wrong and you actually hurt yourself worse. So, this is why it's important to have 1 to 2 days off a week, that you stretch properly and you hydrate. The other thing is making sure their mental health, they don't have massive anxiety going into whatever comp or tournament or game, that they're not feeling like the weight of the world is on their shoulder, especially if it's an individual sport. Those kids have a harder time than the ones on a team sport, because a team sport, obviously, it's not just you. And And, I think the higher you get in high school and you're really hoping to get a scholarship, that's a lot of pressure that those kids feel too. Um, as far as, you know, the kids that are loving everything and want to play everything at the same time, it's wonderful and it's great for them. It's hard on you as a parent. My rule is one sport at a time. There's time for everything, and we can get to everything. I have one kid that really just loves one thing. I have one kid who would play every single sport at the same time if he could, but I can't, right? I have 4 kids. There's no way. He can't play 3 sports at the same time. And it's not fair to his other teams to be at, a different sport while he's playing this sport. And then I have my little one who'll do whatever I ask him to do because he's the baby. And then my oldest is kind of like, he's a teenager right now. He's like, I guess I'll go play something. I feel like this is all very difficult. It's hard to make this decision. This is a decision you should make as a family. You, your partner, your child. It should always be in the child's best interest. The minute your child is no longer having fun, seems very unhappy about going to practice, it's not fun to go to the games anymore, then you need to really think about, why are you still doing it? Are you doing it for yourself as a parent? Is it about your stuff, or are you doing it for your kid? Because sometimes we get stuck in like, but you're so good, and we know our kids are good, but if they're just not happy anymore and they're burning out because they started so young, maybe they need a change of scenery. Maybe it's just a pause, and that's okay. They can pause. They can, maybe a 6-month break or a year break and a shift in team is what they need. And that's okay. You can do it. It's okay. It's their lives. It's not our lives. We're just there to help them out. So good luck in the month of May. Enjoy the sun and some peonies, and let me know if I can help.